This is AM Agenda live from the Mural Hall of Parliament House. Thanks for your company this morning, and joining me now, Liberal MP Josh Frydenberg and Labor MP Ed Husic. Gentlemen, it's good to see you both.
Hello.
First of all, let's talk about the baby bonus, one of the more controversial elements of the budget last night. Ed, this is an element of middle-class welfare that's been scrapped, but the school kids bonus stays. Isn't there sort of a contradiction in that?
I think there'll be swings and roundabouts, and there'll obviously be people that won't be happy about the cuts, but we're trying to do this in the context of having revenue write-downs at the scale that they are, and I think people will, appreciate that we've got to make those decisions to get the budget in a much stronger position.
What do you think about that? It's particularly in the context of what I was chatting to Senator Cormann about, the argument that Joe Hockey has made that the age of entitlement is over.
Well, Joe's absolutely right. The age of entitlement is over, but this government is just shuffling money, Kieran, moving it from the baby bonus to the family tax benefit. I mean, the point here is this budget was horrible. It meant more taxes, it meant higher debt, higher deficit, more spending, lower growth, and higher unemployment. So that's a pretty bad budget by anyone's standard. And Wayne Swan said last night, he said in his speech, governments get to choose what their priorities are. And this government has chosen a budget debt of something around $300 billion in gross government debt. It's chosen a carbon tax that is a punishment for households and families. It's chosen a mining tax, which is a disincentive to investment, and then it's attacked the retirement earnings of the generation that we hope can support itself going forward. So these guys have no idea, Kieran, about how to run a budget. And when you consider that the Assistant Treasurer, probably one of Ed's good friends, David Bradbury, wrote to his own electorate last year.
Friends with a lot of people. Yeah, I'm even friends with you. What does that say about me?
But he wrote to his own electorate last year saying we've delivered a budget surplus. Now we find that they're going to deliver a budget surplus in a number of years.
I want to, Ed, you can respond to that, but also I suppose the government's very keen to say this is about an eye to the long term and so on, but there's also an eye to wedging Tony Abbott, isn't there, on a number of issues, whether it be on infrastructure to other saves like the baby bonus.
Well, a couple of things to the heart of your question, but also something that Josh said when he said that this is about shuffling money around. When the budget is as hard as it is, you don't have the flexibility to do the type of things that you're suggesting, or shuffling money around. Like, how do you shuffle money around in a budget that's as tough as this with the saves that we've had to make? And what will also be interesting is whether or not the opposition, despite what we're hearing now and all the political lines of the day, whether or not they'll actually line up to ensure that these savings occur. What we've tried to do is ensure that the budget delivers a stronger, in terms of being stronger, smarter, fairer for the country, stronger in terms of what we're trying to do in making the saves and trying to ensure the budget's stronger, smarter in terms of the $10 billion that we're putting in for education over a 6-year time frame, and also the disability reforms that we're making and the funding support we're providing to make Australia a fairer place. I mean, these are important things that are happening. Now, we can either have the rhetoric of the old days, or we can recognise the times.
With those policies, though, is this about trying to leave some legacies with the knowledge that in all likelihood you won't be in government come September 15?
Kieran, from day one of a government, a fresh government, you're trying to leave a legacy in terms of trying to change the things that you think need to be done better in society. It doesn't matter if it's the start or at the end. Either, you're trying to make decisions for the long term. And again, these are hard decisions to make. When revenue is as soft as it is, these decisions are never easy to make. Now, there are things, for example, that I've spoken about in the past. For example, my discomfort with, the changes to single parenting payment. We've tried to make some changes on the way through. People won't necessarily be happy, but again, you're trying to find a balance.
Josh, if we look forward now from the coalition perspective, if the polls are to be believed, you'll be in government in September. It'll be very hard to knock back some of the savings and the revenue measures as well, including the crackdown on the business tax loopholes and tax breaks. Given the task that faces Joe Hockey, he knows he's got to make the numbers add up if the coalition wins as we expect they
We've been
will.
saying for years, Kieran, that this government needs to be more responsible, and now we've seen, debt get to a position where it's out of
But
control.
in terms of your decision
well,
making,
we're going to have to take.
it's going to be hard to knock back some of those
We're going to have
cuts.
to take some very tough decisions, and as Matthias Cormann and Joe Hockey and Andrew Robb have said, we need to see the pre-election fiscal outlook to actually get the true state of the books. You can't expect us to take this government on its word. I mean, Wayne Swan said last year when he delivered the budget, I'm delivering 4 surpluses tonight. I'm announcing 4 surpluses tonight. Well, those surpluses never eventuated. This is the 12th budget deficit in a row from this government. The Prime Minister said on over 500 occasions, we're going to deliver a budget surplus. I mean, it's one thing for Ed to talk about wanting to leave legacies and to help people who are disadvantaged, which is all very important. But if you can't manage the books, how can you actually provide? How can you provide for the people who need it? And we say we can get the budget back into surplus. We've done it before. We produced 10 budget surpluses.
We're out of time.
10.
I want 20 seconds each. I'm generous. 20 seconds each to finish.
Well, only the coalition.
20 seconds.
Only the coalition can put the budget back into the black. We've done it before, and we'll do it again.
This budget, while making hard decisions, also makes some important social investments, particularly in terms of education, infrastructure for Sydney's West, and also disability care. Great stuff.
Do you like the lounges out here in the Mural Hall?
Yeah, they're pretty good. They go with my colouring, actually. What do you reckon?
He's going to stay around for after the break. Huh?
No, we do the view next.
The View.
Circle.
Different channel.
Oops.
You might not be back next week.
Oh, this is
Ed
awkward.
Husick, Josh Frydenberg, thanks for your time. That's all for AIM Agenda. Thank you for your company, and we'll have more on Budget 2013, the verdict, after the break.